Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer and I'm playing Middle-earth the Wizards, the collectible card game by Queen Games. This is my second video series about this game. The first one was a mess, I guess. There were technical problems and the flow of the game was also pretty bad. I was kind of stuck because I didn't get good cards. So I think it's time to give this a second shot and try another playthrough. The game came out in the middle of the 90s. And well, as I said, it's a collectible card game, so it comes with a lot of expansions. And you can not only play the heroes, but also Sauron, the Ringwraiths, the fallen wizards like Saruman, and even the Balrog. So there's a lot to collect and a lot of money to pay. But I'm playing the wizards, so I'm playing with the heroes. And there is a rule for solo gaming, but that's not really good. I don't like it. This game is clearly designed for 2 players. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my own house rules. They are inspired by some other rules that you find in the net, and I've posted these rules on BGG. So if you really want to follow the playthrough, you might want to take a look at these rules. Okay, the game is set now, and here we have our resource deck, where we can draw these cards from, and they help the Fellowship while moving across Middle-earth and facing different dangers. Here we have the victory point cards, and we've drawn 8 cards here, and they are these items are located at random locations. For example, this golden ring is here at the Isle of the Living Dead. Or here we have the Palantir of Osgiliath and the Bow of the Galadrim at the Undergates. The Lossoth are at the Lossodan camp. Then Zeldae, she is at Dol Amroth. The Roses of the Erin Vorn, they are played at the Worthy Hills. The Necklace of Girion is played at the Lonely Mountain. And the Elves of Lindon at Edelond. And this is what I call the character offer. So these are characters we can try to pick up in Middle-earth. In the normal game, you can bring characters into play at their home site and at the 4 havens. In my house rule, it's not possible. You have to be at the home site or in a region adjacent to the home site to bring the characters into play. And here we have the danger cards. Okay, this is our fellowship or party. Radagast is our wizard. If he's killed, the game is over and we've lost. We have then Imrahil, Old Gambling, Faramir, and Unborn. And you can see up here the black number and the white hat. This is the mind value of the character. And that shows how many influence points you need to control that character. You have an influence of 20, so you're not allowed to have a total more than a total value of 20 if you add all these mind values together. Now the characters also have a influence value. It's this one here, the white number and the black hand. And that means that they can control other characters with a mind value of their influence value or less. And what I'm going to do now at the start of the game, I'm going to place Imrahil under the control of Radagast. So I have now more free influence, because if I'm controlling a character, his mind is not added to the overall mind of the characters I'm controlling. So I can now bring some additional characters in play. And I'm going to split up my fellowship. These three guys, they will move to Edelland and try to get the elves of Lindon. So I place this card here to indicate that. And I will use this miniature here to represent this party. It's not exactly Radagast, but it's obviously a wizard, so I think that's okay. And these two guys, they move to the Lonely Mountain. It's a little dangerous to go there, but maybe we're lucky. I'm not sure if I can... Oh, wait a minute. I'm not even sure if I can go there. 2, 3... Let me see. Actually, I can't. I see now. I can only move 4... I can only move 4 regions, including the region I'm in. You see here, there are different regions. They are divided by these red lines. And the Lonely Mountain is actually here, this thing here, in the northern Rovanian. And I'm here in Rivendell. This is where we all start. So it would be 1, 2, 3. That's the furthest I can go. So I'm going to move to Thranduil's halls. That's possible. That's here in the Wood Realms. I can go there and I can pick up Thranduil here, and he gives me 3 points. The goal of the game is to get victory points. We have actually 7 turns. And at the end of these 7 turns, or somewhere in between, we need 25 victory points. If we manage to get them, we win the game. If not, we lose. To indicate the turn number, I will simply use that die. So I place that here now, and it's the first turn. And now I start moving to Thranduil's halls, and I try to pick up Thranduil there. So I move now here with these people over the high pass, and you can see here now this symbol in the circle, and that indicates the terrain type. And you see here these symbols, and this is wilderness. And then Here we got a borderland, the Anduin Vales, and then the Wood Realms. It's another borderland. And we end up here in a free location. This is Thranduil's Halls. So that's where we are. And now you can see down here on the location card where we're going. The number here, the black number in the white box, shows how many cards you are allowed, how many resource cards you're allowed to draw while traveling. So I can draw 2 cards now. This is Farsight and that is Muster. So that helps me to bring a faction into play. And for this card I use a special rule. If you construct decks normally in the normal game, then these decks are very well balanced, and you try to get special items, and if some of these items need some more cards to make them stronger. For example, if you have this ring in your deck, then you would use some cards, then you would also put some cards in the deck that allow you to test this ring, to simply to make it more valuable. So this might end up as the One Ring or as a Dwarven Ring, for example, which will give you more points and more power. But because my deck is not really constructed, it's more or less a random deck with with nearly all the cards that are in the game. I have to find a solution that I can improve my items anyway. So I can now go to a location where information is playable, play this card, and then I'm allowed to draw a card from the deck, which allows me, for example, to test that ring, if I have it. You can see a further explanation in the rules there. So, and now we see here the black number, and this is how many hazards are drawn. And it's basically now the same problem, because the hazard deck is not constructed, it's not so effective. So I will draw 4 times the number of hazards written on the card. So in this case I draw 8 hazards. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now let's see what we can play. For example, here we have a giant. And we have here on the left again these Terran symbols, and that means in this case you need 2 wilderness to play the giant. And it's not possible here because we only... Oh, actually it is. We started here in the wilderness of Rivendell and then here on the high pass. So that giant could be played. That's bad. Then we have here a dragon called Skorba. Skorba a hunt. And he can be played in special regions. So let's see if one of the regions is there. It's Forochel, Angmar, Gundabad. So this dragon cannot be played. Here we have some trolls or half trolls, and they can't be played either. And these are now some other cards. We could play the wolves, for example. And there is actually a limit of how many cards you can play. It's called the hazard limit, and it's the number of characters that are in the party that is traveling. It's at least 2. So if you're traveling with one person alone, you can still play 2 on that person or on that party. So in this case, it's also 2, and we have to find the most painful cards now. By the way, you might have recognized this. Some cards are in German, others in English. I try to translate them. So this one is Awakening of the Inhabitants. And this is a long event. In the normal game, long events stay for 1 turn. My house rule says they stay for 3 turns. And that event says the number of attacks, or actually of strikes, of all automatic attacks at a ruin and lair will be doubled. So we will play this card now. And then we have here the giant that will attack. And this is 1 strike. And down here you see the combat number. This is a 13. So one of my characters has now to fight. And let's take a closer look here. We have here a 5. This is our combat value. And the second one is our body value, the 8. And here we have, for example, a 2 and an 8. So let me see. Just want to take a look if I can. Oh man, this is not a very good start. Now I have to decide, do I really want to try to kill the giant? Faramir might have a chance to do this. He must roll an 8. And then you add the combat value, so that would be a 13, and in this case we would have killed the giant. But that's not so easy to roll an 8. I could also say, okay, I sacrifice Unborn. He must roll an 11, but he's a weak character anyway, so maybe it's the better idea to do that. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to take some risk here. Let's hope for the best. I will now tap Faramir. That says that he takes an action. And normally a character can only take 1 action per turn. And I can help him with another untapped character if I tap this guy too, and that gives him 1 additional point for the combat. So he now got a combat value of 6, and he needs a 7 to kill the giant. So let's hope for the best here. And yes, that's an 8. Perfect, he did it. So that gives us now 1 victory point. Pretty good. Now both of our characters are tapped, so we can't do anything else during this turn. We couldn't collect an item now in Thranduil's halls or something, but that's not so important because we didn't want to do anything there at all. Okay, and now we have to discard down to 5 cards. Normally you have 8 cards, but in my house rules you only have 5. And let me see, I think I will throw this away. And this one. Okay. And then my other party will move. And they now move from one haven to another haven. And we can actually use here a special rule for movement. We can use the side path movement. And you can see here well, that was actually the wrong card. It's I had Edelond. It's of course the Grey Havens, where the Elves of Lindon are playable. You see here the route from Rivendell, and that is 2 wilderness and 1 free land. The advantage in using this side path movement is that you don't, according to the rules, you don't travel through the regions. So if there are monsters like, for example, Scorbra Hunt, that say it's playable in the following regions, and then you can read the name of the regions, then these monsters cannot be played if you travel through the side path. You can only play monsters on the symbols, not on the names of the regions. So that's an advantage. So now we simply move here to Lindon with these 3 people. And we can also draw 2 cards, but we have Radagast, and he's got a special ability. And he can draw an additional card for every wilderness he's traveling through. And we're traveling through 2 wilderness, as you can see here. So we can draw 4 cards altogether. Okay, so we have another muster that can be useful. We have the Leaf Brooch. It helps you if you have to discard an item, you can instead discard that one. And this is you can play this card on a Dunedain in a haven, and then he's become a sage. So that's not bad too. And this is a card that helps you to get allies easier. Okay, so now we're here and we have to draw 8 of these hazard cards. Okay, these are actually 5 and 8. So here we are. So let's see what we got here. We have, for example, the Orc Warriors. Well, we can definitely play them. We have Huorn. We can also play that. And, oh, we shouldn't forget that. By the way, we can now play 3 cards, because we have 3 characters, so the hazard limit is 3 now. Okay, I decided to play this long event here. It's Skatha, a hunt. Another dragon. And this is actually also a long event. So it will stay for 3 turns. And it attacks, for example, in the Wood Realms. So if they should move away now from Thranduil's halls, they're gonna be attacked by Skatha. And this guy is not a very nice one. So I'll play this card here. And then I use this card, Alatar the Hunter. And I can play that card in a free realm. So that would be here. Lindon, that is a free realm. And this is a Maya, manifestation of Alata. 2 strikes. Attacker chooses defending characters, detainment, and -3 prowess against hero companies. So, what we can do now is, we can try to attack Radagast and let's say Imrahil. And because I'm a hero company, it is only a combat value of 10. And if I don't if I'm not successful in the combat rolls, it's not so terribly bad because it's just a detainment attack. So I'm not wounded, I'll have to tap instead. But the attacker can choose the character. So Radagast, he's the one with the best influence. He has a free influence of 4, so he would be normally the one trying to get the Elves of Lindon. But now he will be attacked, and if he's tapped, he's got a problem, because then he can't try to influence this faction. Because if he's tapped, he's kind of done his action. Okay, so these 2 characters are now attacked by Alata. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to play this card here. And that says, well, parry, I guess. And a warrior. Only warriors can use this. And I don't have to tap if I fight. So I have a combat value of 6 now. Normally, if you decide not to tap during combat, you have to take a penalty of -3. But in this case, it's not necessary. I still have a combat value of 6, even without tapping. So what I need is a 7. And I have that. Was close, but I have it. Very good. And then it's Imrahil. And well, he has to tap because it's just a detainment attack. So it would be not necessary to tap here. He's got a combat value of 2, so he needs an 11. And he doesn't have that. So he's tapped now. But that's not so bad. The good thing is Radagast is still able to perform his action. And now that card is gone. I didn't win this battle because if you want to win a battle to get the victory points, you have to beat both strikes. And I lost one, so I don't get the points here. And then I have to discard cards to go back on my hand limit. Okay, now we've done the travel phase, and after traveling we come to the location phase. Now we can try to get some points. We can try to get the Elves of Lindon. And now it's written here, playable at the Grey Havens. This is here, the case, that's where we are. And we need to do now an influence check. And we need a 10 for that check. So that's pretty tough, but the good thing is we now have a free influence of 4. And that free influence is added to the influence roll. In addition, we can use this card here, Muster, and that gives us a bonus of our combat value to the influence roll. You have to be a warrior to do this, but Radagast is a warrior. So he now simply taps, does his action for the turn, and he has a bonus of 6 plus his free influence of 4, so that gives a 10. So we don't have to roll because we now have this 10, and we get the 2 points of the Elves of Lindon. Okay, so that's basically the end of the turn now. We can now draw up again to 5 cards. That is Herblore. Playable on Radagast while moving during his movement phase. If there's one wilderness in his path. If untapped, tap Radagast afterwards. During any organization phase, Radagast can tap and discard this card to heal all characters in his company. Well, that might be useful. We'll see about that. And in addition now, a new victory point card is drawn. So let's see what that is. Well, that's so that's the Seafarer's Emerald, and it is placed randomly on the Gold Hill. It's a dragon's treasure, so we have to place it at a dragon's lair. That makes it a little harder. Okay, so that was the first turn now. Now at the beginning of the second turn we can untap our characters. And this is now the so-called organization phase. And what we can do now is we can bring a character in play. So I'll take Thranduil and I'll place him here. I bring him to play in Thranduil's halls. And he's got a mind of 9. So we need now, let me see, 7, 9, 18 influence to control all my characters. But that's not a problem, we have a influence of 20. So let's see what we can do now. Okay, so now with these guys I will go to the Isle of the Living Dead, and I'm gonna try to get the beautiful golden ring there. And with the others I go to Lorien. And I do this because I can go there with the side path movement. So in this case, I don't have to face Skatha. This is now the second turn. This special card is into play. And to indicate this, I'll turn this card around. Then in the third turn, I'll turn it again. And then I can discard it because my long events stay for 3 turns. The next problem is this here, awaken of the, inhabitants. So the number of the strikes of the automatic attacks is doubled, and that's a real problem if I go to these dragon sites, because normally they have one really powerful automatic attack, but with this card they have 2. So that's not really good. Okay, anyway, let's hope for the best now, and I think first I'll move with them to the Isle of the Living Dead, which is also ruins and lairs, so the attack there is also doubled. And I use the side path movement. So in this case it's up here. The closest haven is the Grey Havens, and this is the side path from this haven. So I'll take a free land and to C. So it's actually here. Okay. And I can draw one card, one resource card. So let's see what we find. Well, that helps me to, let me see. That's good against cards with more than one attack, but not with more than one strikes. There's a difference actually. And then we draw 8 hazard cards. Okay, there is only one card we can play, but that's a little painful. That's the Swamp Dragon. And it can be played here on C areas. So we have to face it, I'm afraid. It's 2 strikes with 11. And okay, so what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna risk something here because I want that ring. So I'm not tapping Radagast, but Imrahil and the old gambling. So Imrahil, he's got a 5, so he needs a 6. And he isn't successful. That's only a 4. That's bad. Okay, what happens now is Imrahil is now wounded. So his card is turned like this, and he's got a body of 8. You can see that here. So if I roll now a 9, he's killed. Well, that's not the case. Okay, and then it's the old gambling, and he needs an 8 to be successful here. And also a 4, oh man. So he's also wounded, and he only has a body value of 7. So if we roll now an 8, he's killed. And yes, he is. That's an 11. So gambling was eaten by the Swamp Dragon. Okay. Well, that's bad. Okay, let me see. What can we do? Now it's these 3 guys, and they move to Lorien. And if you move side path movement from a normal location, if you move from a location to a haven, you draw the cards from the location you come from. So in this case, I'm allowed to draw 2 cards. First I have to discard 1 actually, and that will be, well, I'm not sure, I think it will be this one. So I'm now allowed to draw 2 more cards. And that's a spell which helps me during the fight. But only my wizard can do this. And this is another emerald. Oh. Yeah, but that's a minor item. So I can play this if I'm at a dragon's lair. And then we have to draw again 8 cards, 8 hazard cards. And because we have also here 3 characters, we can play 3 cards. And first I'm going to play this Doors of Night. That's a permanent event, so that stays in play until it is cancelled somehow, and that makes the whole land much more dangerous. And then we have this one. It's called Call of Home. And it's playable on a character, and you have to roll and add the free influence that we have. And if this is less than 9, or if it is 9 or less, the character has to be discarded, or actually goes back in the character offer. So in this case it's played on Tranduil, and we have a free influence of, let's see, we have 9, 11, 16. So we have 4. We have a free influence of 4. So we need a 6. And we don't have that. Well, that is bad. That's only a 5. So he is discarded again. He wants to stay home. He doesn't want to go with us. That's really a problem now. So I'm afraid we have to go back here and have to pick him up again. That's a bad card. Okay. And then we have this card here. That's the Ambusher. And we can play him on a borderland. And these are 2 strikes. Attacker chooses defending characters. Okay, so in this case everyone has to take a strike. You can't give one character both strikes. That's not possible as long as there's another character who hasn't a strike. Okay, so in this case, well, I suggest we both tap, because in Lorien we can't do anything. So we need to roll a 5 to be successful here with Faramir. And he has that. And the other guy needs an 8. That's not so easy actually. And he doesn't have that. So Unborn is wounded, and if we roll a 9, he's killed. And that's not the case. Okay, so that was a pretty bad turn until now. And then let's see. Oh man. Anyway, we have to go on somehow, so now Radagast tries to find the ring on the island of the living dead. And now we have this special card here, which doubles the automatic attack. And now you can see here, it says automatic attack, undead, 2 strikes with 8. So if you want to go into this location, and if you want to take an item out there, you have to face this automatic attack. And now we have 4 strikes with 8. And now the attacker can decide who gets the additional strikes. So everyone has to face 1 strike, and then there are 2 strikes left, and both the additional strikes will go on Radagast. So first we'll start with him, with Imrahil, and he is wounded. And if you're wounded, you get a combat modifier of -2. So he's got only a combat value of 3 now, and he needs a 5 to be successful. And he is. And now it's Radagast. And if he wants to take the ring, then he has to tap to take the ring. So that means he's not allowed to tap now during this fight. That gives him a -3, so he only has a combat value of 3. And because he has to take 2 additional strikes, the combat value of the attacker is +2, so that is now a 10. And he needs a 7 to be successful now. And he is. He's got an 8. So that's very good. We made it inside the location. And then we can take the beautiful golden ring. Let's hope it's worth it. Let's hope it turned out to be a precious item. So we tap now and get the ring. But we are already in big trouble. We're heavily wounded. And yeah, it wasn't that good during this turn. Okay, so I'm going to load this up now. I know this is quite a complicated game. I hope you get the idea of it, and yeah, I hope to see you in one of my next videos.